Are you ready?
Starting now?
Oh, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And of course, we've been talking about it all week, but we do have a guest. So Gretchen, go ahead and say hi.
Hi, everyone. Hi, yous guys.
Okay, so that was going to be the second thing I brought up, but let's just jump into the use thing. No. I got to do one thing first.
Yes.
So first of all, Mike, and I didn't tell you this, so you are actually verbally surrounded by a couple of cheeseheads right now, Mike.
Nice.
Gretchen spent some time in Wisconsin, but I'm sure that's part of your story, so we'll get to that. But you have claimed that the whole use thing comes from Wisconsin. Is that?
Yes, it does. I don't know if it was
I don't believe you, though.
Well, I people in my family have used it. And then, you know, I'm from Madison, and we're close to Chicago, so we got a lot of the Chicago folks. Mind you, I don't live in Madison anymore, and I haven't for probably 30 years. I live in Colorado, in Denver, in the Front Range, and but yeah, it's just kind of one of my things. I like to be silly and say "yous guys," and
so you carried the "yous" with you all these years,
right? Yes, I do, and it's kind of like a joke, like. You know, if you know me, it's kind of a joke. But sometimes I say it to people that I don't know, and they're like, what the fuck's her problem? But, you know, whatever. It's just kind of, it's silly. It's like, hey, you guys, what's up? You know, like, what's going on? And then there's a funny story about it today because I work for like a computer tech company, and I was replying to one of our clients, and I was asking them if you know they would like to use our resources, and instead of using the correct use USE, I wrote use like YOUSE, and I was like, I gotta stop. So yeah, so that's
so the joke. Yeah, your joke becomes reality and blends into your work. I think it's.
Oh,
I think
ahead.
It's funny though. I was going to say I think it's funny.
It's funny. It's just something. I'm a weird person, so and what makes it kind of even funnier is that one of the girls that I work with, like, she looked at my reach out before I sent it, and she didn't catch that I didn't spell it correctly either. Because I say "yous guys" to her all the time too, so it's just I gotta stop people.
well, and we want to hear more about your story, and you know the thing of it is, and these were your words that you had messaged to me one time. You said your story is short and boring, which is fine.
Yes.
But basically, Mike and I have come up and figured out a pretty simple format. Kind of follows the same thing as an AA meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, you know, what happened, basically how you got to sobriety. But the key here that we always like to hear about is how did you get sober, especially during the pandemic? Because we'll get your sobriety date in there too, but in what you do now, right? So
Yep.
these are the things we want to hear, and those were important. And like I said, Mike and I talked about that, and I think I covered the basics, right, Mike?
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we know how to get loaded. We know how to ruin our lives.
Me too.
Right. We want to know about the solution. How did we stop doing that?
Exactly.
Okay, well, cool. So let's take, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. Tell us your story. Tell us what got you up to that point, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, I first wanted to start out by just thanking both of you so much for doing this. I found this podcast, and it's not like I know there's other sober podcasts out there. You guys are very real and raw, and for people like me, we need to hear realness, and not kind of like happy clouds and everything's great and stuff, and it just thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
I love listening to you guys. I work out regularly, and I listen to your episodes when I'm doing that in the morning before I start my day, and it's just very positive and uplifting. So thank you.
Oh, cool.
Thanks.
Real quick side note too, Mike. This is the one I told you about that listened to 4 hours of us while you were cleaning your house, right?
I was cleaning my house. I love to listen to podcasts while I'm cleaning my house, and I usually listen to true crime. And so like when I first started listening to you guys, it's like you guys were in my, like I'd listen to true crime and then I'd listen to you guys in between, but now it's like I listen to my true crime in between you guys. So use guys.
Use guys.
So, but I'm catching up. I have like 4 episodes and then I'll be caught up. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah, and I just love it. So thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you too.
I definitely will give a very brief rundown of my drinking because I agree. I mean, everyone who's ever gotten sober, I feel, has the same damn, bottom or drunk alcohol story. It was fun until it wasn't.
Right.
And I tried it in high school with friends. We'd go to a friend's house and, their dad had the vodka and we'd drink the vodka and we'd fill it back up with water. Just all that stupid shit. But it wasn't, I didn't get like out of control or anything like that. Boone's Farms.
The good stuff.
Yeah, that was
Boone's Farm apple wine.
Yes.
I got a case of it on my 17th birthday. I had good friends.
Yes, that I saw something the other day, like it's the grandfather of White Claw or something. So
Right.
yes, so that was around, and then I got out of high school and I did go to college, and I had a boyfriend who was legal and could buy alcohol, and he did for me. And when you're in those settings where other people around you are drinking and partying, it's very easy to fit in and feel like you're doing the right thing and living your life like you're supposed to. And I remember having some blackouts. And I hear people say brownouts and blackouts. I don't really understand the difference. I just know that I call it blacking out, like when I was still coherent, but I don't remember anything. And I don't remember anything I did or said or what happened. So I had some of those, and I remember, having that anxiety and panicking, after it happened and not remembering and, worried that I did something so terrible.
Stupid.
Yes, exactly. Right. Just embarrassed, really. But it wasn't all the time. It was just, a couple times. And then, it was just like a social thing. And then like every night was a social thing. I had I had to travel a lot for work, so I was on the road a lot, and you're away from your home and your people, and you're with coworkers, so you go out and have dinner, and the next thing you know, it's midnight and you're at the bar, and you got to get up for work the next day. And so I really, had my drinking really took off then. And then I got married when I was 29 years old. And we're still married. My husband and I are still married. He stuck through me with this, which I'm very grateful for. I think a lot of people, it doesn't matter, men or women, would be gone in a heartbeat if they had to deal with what my husband had to deal with.
Yeah, it's unfortunately common that happens, that marriages don't survive, this sort of thing. So yeah, that's amazing. It is. I mean, really.
Yes, and it's a testament to him, and he's not involved in my sobriety, but he's supportive of my sobriety.
I would imagine so.
So, yes. So, I'm like, do you want to come to an open meeting with me just so you can see what it's about? No, I'm good. You want to go to Al-Anon? No, I'm good. Like, what? Do you want to listen to me talking to my friends on this podcast? No, you do your thing. I might listen to it. I might not, whatever. But anyway, so we got married and then we had kids, and I didn't drink when I was pregnant. But that was really the only time I stopped. And I didn't find out I was pregnant, until like 2 or 3 months into it. So I was drinking those early months, and, my kids are fine, but, when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't drink. And so then I had them. And then I like to call it my controlled drinking phase. And what I mean by controlled is like, hey, you know what? If I go Monday through Thursday without drinking, then I deserve to be wasted all weekend and partying. And that was
it's
me.
Your gift.
It was my gift. And, I'd go on like these cleanses, and I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to drink for like 21 days. And then I made it through, and then, it was like balls to the wall after that. So, it was just I was never a normal drinker is what I'm trying to get at. Never. And, then I'd say the last probably 6 years of my life, it became all the time.
There was no more control.
What's that?
There was no more control.
There was no more control. I didn't want to control. It was like I was I was just like, oh, I've had a shitty day. Work sucked. My kids are driving me nuts. My husband and I got in a fight. Like, I'm going to have some wine. And then the next thing I know, I downed the whole bottle and I'm opening up another one. And it's like, 9:00 at night. And then everybody goes to bed and I'm still up by myself, drinking alone and listening to music and, in my own thoughts. And then finally it turned into, I drank so much last night, I got no sleep, that the only thing that's going to make me feel better is if I have the hair of the dog. And so then I would hit a shot of vodka in the morning, and then I would drink all day, and I'd still try to do my job and still try to parent, and I'd still drive my kids around while I was fucking trashed, taking them to their practices and their activities. And I was just like a shell of existence. Alcohol made me insane in my thinking, in how I perceived people, like how I showed myself to the world. It was I struggle with depression and anxiety innately anyway. And, when you're taking those drugs for that and then drinking on them, that is a very dangerous game. And it got so bad. I mean, I was just drunk all the time. I was hiding vodka in different areas of my home. So my husband didn't know, because he would get upset. And yeah, of course. And, like, I can't cook dinner because I'm too trashed. I can't get out of bed. The list goes on and on. It was awful. And the last day I drank was December 7th of 2020. So we were...
They don't live in infamy.
Yes. It was terrible. I didn't know it was my last day.
Right. We generally don't.
Yeah, we generally don't. Like, I didn't plan it. I didn't even consider it, like going into AA or anything. I can go into as much details as you want, but the bottom line is I was so drunk I couldn't walk. And I was with my family. We were looking at holiday lights, and I couldn't get out of the car. And when I did get out of the car, I fell, and I got inside my house, and I have this like Buddha statue by the door, and I fell. It's like a metal like Buddha statue, and I fell into it and crashed a bunch of furniture. And then I passed out, and my husband took a picture of me, and he gathered our children, and he left. And when I woke up, I had a text message on my phone of the picture of me passed out, and it said, "I can't fucking do this anymore. Either you get help or you get out." So, I didn't remember any of this. I didn't remember what I did. I still don't.
Right.
So in my stupor of self-pity and, drunkenness, I packed up a bag and I left my house and I stayed at a hotel room. And I cried. I cried all fucking day. Sorry, I'm crying now because I haven't told this in a long time, but I wanted to die. I even thought about, I had enough, I don't sleep very well, so I have sleeping medication, and I even thought about just swallowing the whole bottle and just, boom, I'm done. Like, my family hated me. I had like abandoned my friends and my support system. All I gave a shit about was myself and the drinking. And I just spent a day in the hotel room in the bed, just like contemplating all this stuff. And finally I started thinking about my kids and how horrible that would be if I had actually done that, and I would destroy their lives forever. So I had a work acquaintance that is always very vocal about her sobriety and AA, and so I called her and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. And at the time it was like those Zoom meetings, so she got me, she's like, I'm finding us a Zoom meeting. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck is that? Like, I don't know what that is. And so her and I got on this Zoom meeting, and I kid you not, everyone was like 22 or 23 years old on this meeting. And I'm not that age.
Right.
I've been drinking longer than you guys have been alive. So
Exactly.
I couldn't relate. I think about them now, and I hope they're all still sober, and I think that they're the lucky ones that addressed it then, because I was 42, almost 43 when I realized that I was a hot mess. So,
Right.
you know, and then I called my husband and told him I was going into AA, and of course they all wanted me to go home, and my kids were crying and like, where's mom, and scared. I mean, just terrible. It makes me sick thinking of what I put them through when they didn't know where I was. And so I called Denver central office the next day. And yeah, so that was my rock bottom. I never got in trouble. I never got arrested. I never got a DUI. I didn't get fired from a job. I guess people say that's a functional alcoholic, but I was teetering on getting busted if I didn't stop when I did. So yeah.
Well, and you know, one of the things they say, and Mike and I have talked about the bottom, you know, for plenty of times on here, but also, you know, in general. And you know, it's one of our sponsors told us that we heard at the meeting, whatever it was. It's your bottom is just when you stop digging. You know,
Yeah.
You don't have to lose everything. You don't have to be homeless. You don't have to do all that.
Right.
Although we know people. I mean, Mike and I had different, you know, and air quotes, Mike, different bottoms. You know,
Right.
I think we were both. That's a horrible, isn't it? Yes. By the way, Mike, I liked your bottom.
Yeah, right.
Okay, let's step back.
Yes.
I'm not going to edit that. That's going to stay in there
Okay.
anyhow. Mike and I both had different low points. How's that? Is that better?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes.
But we were still both in trouble in this and that. He was at a different level than I was. He went through different shit. But it doesn't matter. We know people who had ended up in prison. We know people who had 17,000 DUIs. None of that really matters, right, Mike? I mean, it just whatever brings you there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you, like you said, when you stop digging.
When you stop digging, absolutely. So, I got a sponsor, and you know, she took me to my first AA meeting. They had like just opened up in person in this particular meeting, and it wasn't that far from my house. And I started going, and you know, just it was like I was in this ball of despair. You know, just like I was crying every meeting, and you know, I never felt so alone in my life. And I'm a loner by nature. Like, I've always felt like I'm just here by myself, even being surrounded. I have wonderful people in my life, but it's just me. But I really just felt like nothing. And I do not ever want to feel like that again. And that is one of the reasons, not like the biggest reason I stay sober, is because of my family and my children. And but I do it for myself because I'm better than that. And I know that I am. And everybody who's struggling with alcoholism is better than alcohol and doesn't need to live in that cycle anymore if they don't want to.
Yeah, we heard it over and over again. You don't have to live that way anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to live that way anymore. And you know, I got to a point in AA with my first sponsor where we got stuck at step 4. I know you're so surprised, right?
Wait,
So,
We've never
You
heard
both
that
got
one
stuck
before.
at step 4?
you,
Wait, you both got stuck at step 4, or you
no,
got stuck at
I
step
got stuck at step 4.
Just want to make sure.
Because I didn't know what the fuck she wanted me to do. Like I would write my resentments and like the list and all that crap, and
Right.
and I'm not saying anything bad against her, but I wasn't doing it the way she did. And I think we just kind of butted heads with that. And I thanked her. I was like, thank you so much for bringing me to this step, but I can't move forward because I don't understand. And and I know that's probably very looked down on with the AA folk, but that's where I was. However,
if a sponsor's not showing you how to do the step, and you can't do it the way they're showing you how to do it, find another sponsor.
Right. So I it was almost like I kind of felt like she wasn't doing what she wanted me to do, and she was getting mad at me for that, and I don't do that. So we broke up. But I wish her love and light. She might even be listening to this one day. I have no idea. And she was a great lady, but I just got stuck. And so after this happened, I went online and I was like, AA is so abusive and fuck this religion shit. It's all a cult. You can go down a rabbit hole about how horrible AA is if you want to.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But for whatever reason, and I guess it's that higher power everybody talks about, I found myself a women's only meeting, and I went there by myself, and it was life-changing for me. Women heal women.
Right.
And I found some really wonderful ladies in this group, and I found my current sponsor in this group, and we got through the steps, and we're actually doing them again now. And I have a totally different perception of AA than I did at the very beginning.
Well, that's good. So do I.
Yes. And I'm not a religious person. I grew up with religion, and it was like a fearful, shameful type of situation. And that always just rubbed me the wrong way. And like the rules and, I'm going to go to hell because I had sex before I got married, fuck off. Like if I try to be a nice person and I'm going to hell for that, then I want to go to hell. And
they have more fun. They have more fun in hell.
Exactly.
If you could have sex before marriage.
Right. Exactly. That's just one example that I could think of the top of my head. And I'm certain my parents aren't very happy with that decision, but it is what feels right to me. And the God, in quotes, the higher power of existence is what it is for me. And Mike, you said one time that you had to, I can't remember what word you said, but you changed the God word to something else, like in the prayers.
Oh, yeah, I lower the G and add no.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, good. Yes. And what I did is I tried to think of something that was so special that it felt like it was like a higher level of existence, and that's the love I have for my children. And so when I was praying, instead of saying God, it's like love, grant me the serenity, blah, da, 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 da. And that just kind of resonated more with me than the whole God thing. And
oh, absolutely. That was my first breakthrough with the higher power thing. I've got a granddaughter, and she was 2 years old at the time. And that look that she gave me was a power greater than myself.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love.
Yes.
Yeah. And to this day, when they're all doing the Lord's Prayer, good for them. I sing the Beatles, All You Need Is Love in my head.
I love that because I do find myself, sometimes I'm like, oh, Gretchen, you know this prayer. It doesn't mean that you're,
Right.
back in the Lutheran religion again if I just fucking say it, but sometimes I can't say it, and I try to think of like good vibes coming out of me. So
right. Yeah. The only line I say is "Thy will be done." The rest of it I don't do.
Yeah, fuck it.
And you know what's funny
if
too
it
is
works
that,
for somebody else, cool, but not for me.
Exactly.
Yep.
And Mike right off the bat, he's been doing that with the Lord's Prayer with "Thy will be done" the entire time, and it's fun because he and I went to a ton of meetings together, and whenever I'm back there, we still do. And when we're always standing next to each other during the Lord's Prayer, and now it's actually important to me. I like to hear that because I know what that means to him.
Yes.
Because I know the backstory to it, but the whole thing there, like this morning, Mike, and I don't know if I don't remember what was in the 24-hour book, but it was full of fucking God this morning, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Like, oh my God, this is too much God.
And the thing of it is, and he and I talk about that, is that once he told me that, which was 3-4 months ago, because you said it on here about the good thing.
Right.
And I'll read God a couple of times. I'm like, this is too fucking much, and I'm like, good, or I'll blank it out, or whatever I do, But it's weird though. There's certain times that I'll say God. When I say the Serenity Prayer, I always do. I don't know why, And then in certain other areas, I'll say it. Like in part of my prayers, I'll say it, that's because I do the Serenity Prayer in my prayers. But other than that, I mean, Mike's an atheist. I'm at best. At best, I'm agnostic, and but I had no problem with organized religion. It just, I wasn't around it. I wasn't grown, I didn't have that, I don't know, that, whatever you call it, that whole backbone of it. So I'm like, finding a higher power was weird.
Yeah.
But once I found it, and Mike's whole story, I mean, he used, again, the granddaughter, the Beatles.
Right.
The word love and all that stuff, it doesn't matter, and we told that story about that guy at Founders Day that was clearly from the Middle East. They do not believe in they don't believe in our God.
Yes.
And that dude had been sober for like 15 fucking years,
Absolutely.
So that's the thing, and first of all, I'm glad that we have so many female friends, and I mean a ton of female friends in Cleveland that are sober. And we've mentioned there's an individual that sponsors a ton of them, and she's wonderful. And all of our friends are fabulous, but they got their start in a women's meeting. We got our start. We got our start in men's meetings, So we didn't like it necessarily. It's like we're on a bunch of dudes, but it is what it is.
It's special. In this meeting I go to in particular, I have a weird work schedule. I used to work evenings, and then I had found this women's meeting. It's like Tuesday at noon. And then they switched me back to daytime. And I was like, I told my work, like, I found this AA meeting and I can't give it up. Like, can we figure something else out? Because it was just, it's too special for me to be around these women. So yeah, and I was just gonna say, when we were talking about the whole God thing, it's like I feel like that's one of the reasons why people get put off by the AA program.
Sure.
Because they think it's religious, and it really is not. But if you go into the wrong meeting and they're talking about it like that, then you're like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to be here. This is not me. And and it's not, it's the spiritual program, It's how to not be be a good person, don't be evil, like all the things, don't be an asshole. Yeah, like like find your inner strength every day, and cultivate this life where you're not having to apologize for your behavior all the time.
Right.
So yeah. So that's my AA deal. And I'm a very regimented person, so like I'm always on like a routine, and so that is part of my routine. And I know I want to go to more meetings, but it just never fits in my life very well. Just with my kids are still school age, so I got to drive their asses around everywhere and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I got to take care of my house, and I got to make sure my husband's doing good, and blah blah blah. So but that's something I always do every Tuesday, is go to that meeting. So
yeah, I mean, meetings are important in the beginning. I mean, you need to surround yourself with people who are trying to do the same thing you are. But but once you get that routine, you start working the program in your everyday life. You don't. I don't want to sit in a church basement for the rest of my life. I want to live my life.
Totally. Yes.
So I'm the same way. I go to my home group every week, and that's pretty much the meeting I go to. I don't go to many meetings anymore. I don't. Meetings are great, but I'm living my life. I'm working the program on a daily basis. I don't need to sit in a room.
Right. Absolutely. That's how I kind of feel about it too. But that being said, I want to help somebody. Like if there's somebody that comes in and something I say in the meeting like touches them, or they are like, oh, that whatever that lady's saying is super cool, I want to talk to her. I want to put myself out there for that.
Absolutely. We have to be available to the newcomer.
Yes, exactly. Because, it's important. So, so that's my AA story. That's how I stay sober. I also, when I first quit, I also am one of those humans that likes to know why for everything. And I know.
Yeah, Mike knows nothing about that, hanging around me for 12 years.
Oh my God. I do the why.
I'm a fucking why person, man.
Like fucking.
You've listened enough,
Why does the alcohol make me do this stuff? Can other people hold it? And so I actually did a lot of research, like about what alcohol does to your central nervous system, and it's really fucking scary. And the wet brain. You abuse it too long, you can get wet brain, and you can get that where you have alcohol belly and have all that fluid, in you, and just all this really nasty shit that alcohol does. And it's like, why the fuck is this shit available at every street corner? Like, this is the gateway drug. Like, weed's not the gateway drug. Booze is. Because every time I did drugs, I had booze with me too.
Oh, sure.
So...
Right. Well, George Carlin said mother's milk is the gateway drug. It leads to everything.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I don't know how I've never heard that before. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Love George Carlin. Yeah, so that's just kind of my deal. And so like at the beginning, I treated myself like I was sick. So I only did what I had to do. And at that time, the only thing I had to do was take my kids to school, pick my kids up from school, and work my job at night. And I worked from home. So that was really helpful. And then the rest of the time I laid in bed and I watched Netflix, and, I just treated myself like I was a sick person, because I was sick. I was sick with alcohol poisoning. And the people try to get sober. I'm on like Facebook groups, sobriety Facebook groups, and I see a lot of people posting like, oh, I made it 4 days and then, I felt better. So then I started drinking again, and now I'm back to where I felt again. And I'm not making fun of them. I get it.
Right.
But you have to give yourself more than 4 days. And if you abused alcohol for as long as we did, you're sick and your body doesn't know how to work without processing it first, and it's going to take a while. It took me like 3 solid months to feel like a normal human being again.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still had tremors in my hand 6 months after I stopped drinking.
Yeah. That cloud and that fog, it was just always there, and it takes a while, and then you have to do the work to.
Yes,
you got to
do
do the work to be happy. And not only is AA a wonderful program to do the work, but I also got a therapist. And I went to him, like the first male therapist I'd ever been to. And I was like, I'm not going to fucking lie to this guy. Because I'd gone to therapists before and I'd fucking lie to him. So they, so I'd manipulate the story to make it seem like I was justified in the shit that I did.
Right. Oh yeah,
it wasn't my fucking fault. Like these people made me do this, and
that's right.
I didn't.
If everyone else would just do what I said, I'd be
if
fine.
Everyone just did what I said, everything would be fine, and everyone's lives would be great. And that's that was one of the problems.
Bullshit.
It's total. Yeah, it's fucking bullshit.
Yep.
And I still, obviously, I can still want to have control and, all that crap. And it's like when I get too wrapped up in that, that's when shit starts going wrong. And I get, I'm upset in my head, or I'm having a bad day or whatever. And so it's working the program is what makes you happy. And I'm just a huge believer in AA. I know there's other stuff out there like Smart Recovery and, but I even feel like those are spiritual programs too, when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it. So
exactly. There's basically one solution, it's stop being an asshole, do the next right thing. Stop hurting the people around you so you don't have that shame and that guilt that you have to cover up. And it's all
absolutely
the same. Right. That's the solution. Right.
Well, and the control thing too. And so 2 things, and Mike usually always laughs when I say this, but you've listened to enough of our episodes. I am an egotist, and I don't have to tell him that, but to this day, I'm still an egotist. I still want to control things. I'm still anxious. I still want to manipulate things, and he has been. I'd say easily out of anyone, and I've said this before. I mean, I will take whatever he tells me for fact, because I know he's not going to lie to me. He's got no reason to lie to me. Unless he's drinking.
Right.
If he's drinking, he's going to lie to me. He's going to take all my shit and sell it. So, I mean...
That's right.
And we joke about that, but we also know it's the truth, So there's no reason for me to, or any of the close people in our group, but him specifically. So there are a lot of times when he's just said to me, he's like, what the fuck, man? Or, literally, he doesn't sugarcoat it, but he's like, you're doing this or you're not doing that. Do this. And I don't ever take it wrong. And that's something that who knows why we were put together and all this different stuff, and we've joked about it that the universe put us together, but I think it's hugely important that's and it's not just him, and it's not just him and I, the people that we were fortunate enough, because I never felt like and I heard enough about AA. My dad was in it and all that stuff, so I heard enough about the cult-ish part of it.
No,
you can't hear me?
Bill,
can you hear me?
Go? Shit,
Hello?
He's still connected. There you are. Maybe.
Hello?
There you are.
You cut out.
Well, that was weird. Did I really?
Yeah.
That was,
God damn, that was weird. Unless only thing I can figure, unless we lost internet access here for a minute. So what's the last thing I mumbled?
Just about how Mike sets you straight whenever you're getting too into the controlling.
Well, and the whole cultish part of it. I mean, it's the people too. I heard plenty of horror stories about AA, but we never experienced that because the people who thankfully we were dealing with didn't deal with us that way.
Right.
You know, they
Right.
presented AA in such a positive way, in the way that it should be presented. Now, once again, like you said, it's not for everyone. We don't care. You know, even when we first started doing this, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure how much we should talk about AA, because I'm like, are we going to alienate people? And then when Mike told his story, which was episode 3, basically the first long episode that we had, he talked a lot about AA in the big book. And then in my head, I'm like, fuck it, man.
Yeah.
If people don't want to listen, we're getting our thing. For us, if this helps people, awesome. We're not pushing it, though. You know, I mean, if somebody wants to get sober, I don't know, sitting under a tree every day.
Right.
You know, go sit under a fucking tree. I don't care. You know?
Exactly. Go sit under a tree. We don't fucking care. We're just sharing how we did it and how the benefits of it. And I also think it's great because then you're actually sitting with people who are, you know, on purpose. They're not drinking. So you're not alone. You know, like there are other people that are purposely not drinking just like you are. And that's big in this fucking culture where everybody drinks and everybody's like, oh, I had a bad day. I need wine. Oh, you know, like I was telling you the reasons why I drink. You know, my family's driving me insane. You know, something bad happened in the world. You know, I just always had an excuse, and that's kind of how alcohol is marketed. And you know, it's like, yeah, have a good time, or yeah, have it to unwind and relax. Maybe if you want to relax, like go sit under a fucking tree. You know,
right. Go spend time with your kids. Go pet your dog. You've got a dog. Go pet your dog. Right? You know, anything like
exactly.
That. Yeah. Take a drive. Listen to music. I mean,
absolutely.
But that's the thing, in that I mean, alcohol and drinking is so much part of society. I mean, neither Mike nor I blame either our upbringing or any past trauma. We don't feel like we went through anything like that. You know, but it was just a matter of this is how we were born, built, and wired, and this is what we did. I mean, and once again, we were taught. Am I happy I'm an alcoholic? Fuck no. But what I am happy about is that I know the solution and I'm involved in it, you know? And what more can I ask? And there was something in one of the readings I posted the other day, you know, from one of the morning readings, talked about, we actually have, and this might even been today, we actually have a disease that we can manage. And all we have to do, and again, I kind of blah this, but okay, so we don't drink, but you know, go to a couple of meetings, read a couple of fucking books, and be nice and be nice to people. Yes. And that's all I have to do to get rid of my disease for today, right? That's my maintenance, Mike. That's my maintenance every day. You know?
Right, absolutely.
I mean,
and I had to say this before I forget, but one of the episodes, I think you guys were talking to your sister, Bill, and
sure,
you said that, like, Mike said that if you drank again, he would just tell you to go fucking drive off a cliff and die. And
that was Chris.
I was laughing so hard, and I know people are probably like, that it can be upsetting, but I mean, seriously, like, yes, if I go drinking again, I might as well just, you know, lay down in traffic.
Right. Well, exactly. And that's what I had to point out in the following episode was we know each other. We have a relationship. I wouldn't do that to a newcomer. Not.
Yes.
You know, right. But I'm absolutely serious and I would expect it from Bill too. You know, at this point where we know the solution, we've been working the solution for a dozen years, and we decide to say fuck it and give it all up. Yeah, I need to go kill myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. You guys are brothers from another mother, so. So I mean, I don't know why that popped in my head, but it did. So I just had to say that because I was laughing, like, you know, like.
Well, it was funny, but it was also, that was the first time that Mike ever apologized for something that he said on here. He didn't even apologize. Qualified it. But here's the thing.
I didn't apologize. I qualified.
You qualified. That's why I took that back. You qualified.
Totally.
But here's how. here's how we explained it though, is that we operate when it comes to this in our sobriety, which is gonna may sound weird, but we basically operate as one person, you know. So we think alike, we understand each other, and he can think for me, he can speak for me, and I could do the same for him, and we have that understanding. Again, like he just said, we would not walk up to a newcomer at the meeting who had just relapsed and said, "Dude, go fucking kill yourself, man." We wouldn't do that. So again, we're gonna qualify that. I have the right to say that to Mike. Mike has earned the right to say that to me. That's it. That's between he and I.
Totally. Well,
and quite frankly, a newcomer, if I did have some sort of relationship with him and he did relapse, I would point blank look at him and say, "Dude, you want to keep." No, I would point out to him that he's hurting the people around him, because that's one of my big things, man. The big fucking lie that we tell ourselves that we're not hurting anybody but ourselves kills me.
Yep.
Right. So I will point out to them that, look, fine. You want to go get loaded. You want to make yourself feel good. I understand that. I understand that real fucking well. But you're hurting the people around you, and you got to fucking stop doing that. And if it takes just stopping everything, well,
yep, absolutely. Then then fucking do it. So I'm sorry, that's terrible. You might have to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this one now, because of my talk.
And you talked about when you were at your bottom and you were looking at that bottle of pills.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all done it. When we're all in that state, we think about that easy out, and we actually, Bill brought up Mark Maron. He had Jeff Stahl, I can't remember his name, Jerry Stahl, who is a writer. And he had a great line about suicide. He's got 30 years in this program, and he's got a great line about suicide. He said, yeah, it's always an option. Unfortunately, our blood splatters on the living.
Oh, yes. That is good.
Right.
That is good.
Yeah.
And so true.
Yeah.
On a much more...
So let's not do that. Let's work the program and be good people and not hurt people around us. So we don't have to kill ourselves.
I just looked down.
That's the easier, softer way.
Totally. I just looked down at the screen and Mike's name is Fuckhead.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't see that right away?
Do not know himself be true.
So great. Oh, you guys are awesome.
Just so everyone knows, and I should actually just take a screenshot of this, and it doesn't really matter. But so we use Riverside FM, and I'm going to say their name again in confidence now, because we've been using them for what, 6, 7 episodes, 8 episodes, whatever it was.
Yeah, something like that.
And they haven't failed us. We failed on a couple of things, but Riverside FM has not failed us. So Riverside FM for all your recording needs.
They are spectacular. You guys sound a lot better with that.
Oh, huge! But so we get like a little recording studio and a screen, and it's kind of like a Zoom meeting ish, where you can put your name on there. So every time when we've been doing this, Mike's been signing in it says Fuckhead. So that's his, and that's how I greeted him when he popped on. I'm like, hey, what's up, Fuckhead? And he's like, nothing much.
I love that, and now I will love listening to these and knowing that's what's happening. So
every time. And it's been for every episode, and again, I think 23. So it's 8, 9 episodes.
So great, yeah. You guys are hilarious. Yep. I love it. I'm sorry, I went way off topic. We were talking about suicide, and then I'm like, Mike said fuck it.
That's
okay. So
you've listened to this. You know that's what we do.
I know.
Right. Yeah, we're like a couple of fucking squirrels. It's like, wait a second. We were talking about some deep subject one night, and then all of a sudden it turned into a toilet conversation. Literally within like 3 minutes, and I'm like, how the fuck did we get there?
I love it. So good.
But so here's the other thing, and this is the funny part. That this, and I know you're joking about it a little bit,
Yeah.
Gretchen, but she kept saying how nervous she was. She's like, "Well, you might have to. What if you have to edit something? What if you do this? What do you do?" I'm like, I promise you. I said, you will not be nervous. You've heard
know.
us. Just have a conversation. So, have you been nervous through the entire 52 minutes we've been recording?
You guys have made me feel so at ease, but you have to understand, like, you guys
I don't have to understand anything.
Well,
I don't have to.
please.
Don't tell me what to do.
Sorry.
You're not the boss of me.
Please try to put yourself in my shoes. I listen to you guys all the time, so you're like kind of famous to me. You're like, oh my God, like I'm talking.
That was the next thing.
I'm talking to these.
That was the next thing I was going to bring up.
I'm talking to these guys that I've been listening to for like a couple months now, and like I'm actually talking to them now in real life.
No. You know what? We're just a couple of drunks,
I
just
know,
like you.
but still, you guys are famous.
Yeah, that's what she said the one time in one of the posts. She said famous. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? And then when we got the invite to get on with Eric on Fuck Yourself. By the way, yeah, we had a great time with him. And then we got the second invite too. And I think you said something about that again. See, famous.
Yes, exactly. See.
Now, here's the thing: if we get invited on to let's say Mark Maron or something like that, I'll accept famous then.
Yeah.
Just
or
just don't forget about your Peasley little friends that helped you at the beginning.
Wait, what's your name again? Who is this?
I was actually going to tell you guys.
Is anyone still there? Hello?
I was actually going to tell you guys to call me G, because that's what my friends call me. So not.
Okay, what's up?
Sup,
Sup,
G. Exactly. I am G to my loved ones and people that I'm close to. So please.
Okay, so Mike, just so you know, I kind of feel something about a title in there with G. So I don't know. Maybe.
All right, I'll work on it.
No, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Well, Mike is the one that I don't want to say in charge of. He's taken over the title and the picture on every episode, which is fun because and like I said, the only one that I even I again didn't demand, but it turned out to be perfect was the Grim Reaper Cheesehead one for when he was in Wisconsin, but he had that was the episode, the Cheesehead Chronicles. So it's just his episode titles, they make me laugh every time because it's like once we get done with this, I start doing some of the things I have to do, and I got to tell you something real quick on this, Mike, in a second. And then I sit here literally like a 13-year-old girl, and I wait for my phone to buzz so I can see what's the picture and what's the name of the episode. I'm just like, because I laugh every time. Oh my God,
I can't wait.
No shit. Out fucking loud, I laugh every single time. But so the Mike, obviously you know our whole intro, Gretchen. G.
It's okay.
G.
I will respond to many things. It's okay.
I just did gang symbols. When I said
totally.
G, just so
that's what a lot of people do.
But so with our intro and stuff like that, so each one of those sound bites is taken from an episode, and then each one of those beeps in between is an individual thing you have to place in the episode.
Okay.
So I did that for 30 fucking episodes. Okay, no, 29. I'm sorry. And finally I got to the point, there's this other piece of software now that I have to use to cut these episodes up because these record better, so they're bigger. So I got to cut them up to post them. And then I start thinking about it, I'm like, I wonder if I could use that same software that I used to cut it to blend all this shit together into one file. So after 29 episodes, we now have one file, so I don't have to put in like 20 different items.
Yes, every time I
do the intro. Again, I sometimes slowly.
Right.
That's all it is,
The computer wizardry is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, all of this stuff too is just these things. We had no idea what we were doing. We still don't, but we just have a slightly better handle on things. But I'm not kidding you. It's like, again, 7 months and 29 episodes for me to figure out that I could use a piece of software to put this into one file, so I can go click rather than click drag, click drag, click drag, click drag, click drag.
Well, you guys are killing it, and then things get easier as they go, and that's a good sign. And
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely. Kind of like sobriety.
Exactly. It gets easier as you go.
Yep.
So what do you, and speaking of that though, what do you think has been, and this just popped into my head when you said easier, what was your, let's say, biggest challenge so far? Because I mean, you're basically a year and 9 months sober, right?
I'm like 22 months almost.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, beginning of, okay. So in that time frame, what was the hardest time for you? Like kind of once you got your feet under you a little bit after those few months, what's been the hardest time for you?
The hardest time for me was the social thing because, you know, again, I'm like keep quoting Mike in everything that I say, but you said it.
Well, he's God.
I know, right?
He's like Lemmy.
He said in one episode, it's like people expected me to be, you know, having drinks and coming over with the case of beer and the couple bottles of wine and, you know, blah blah blah. That was how people knew me. And, you know, I've also I'm glad because I still feel like I still have my same personality. It's just better because I'm kind of witty and, you know, the sarcastic humor and blah blah blah, whatever. But people put me together with a good time, you know, like drinking and partying. And so I decided that if I was going to do this, I needed to be honest with everybody in my fucking life. And I told my I've got a solid group of girlfriends from college, you know, like I told my work, I told my family, you know, just everybody, because I didn't want it. When you tell somebody you're an alcoholic and you're sober, there's no like, oh, come on, let's just have one or you'll be okay with one. It's like, no, I'm fucking sober and I'm in recovery. Don't even, you know, no ifs, ands, or buts. And but what I had to do was I kind of had to hide away from the world for a while. And for me, that was a good 9 months. So it's like I wasn't doing anything. I was staying at home with my family, which I should have been doing anyway, but I wasn't seeing any friends. I wasn't going out, you know, to dinner. I wasn't like, I didn't want to see anyone or be around anyone because I didn't even know who I was. And that just took me a long fucking time. I still don't know who the hell I am, you know, but I'm working at it and I'm learning every day and I feel stronger every day, even when shit sucks. And I've had some sucky shit happen since I've been sober too. But I mean, I'm so grateful that I'm not pouring the booze on top of it because I can deal with it. I can process it. But that was the hardest for me. And I think that's also where people can get really stuck because they want to be sober, but their lifestyles and the lives they lead, they're required to be, or they want to be around other people. And those other people are boozing, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, you want to, right. I mean, there are people that they get sober, but they still want to go to the bar because that was their life. That was their, yeah. Thankfully, that wasn't a problem for me because I was sitting in a room by myself.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I wouldn't say I'm glad I did it that way, but you know, like when I have to explain it to people now, like why didn't you reach out when you were going through all this? And it's like, because I didn't know what to do because I was rebuilding myself and I didn't know, I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel comfortable in my skin. And so now I have actually had to be in a couple situations. Like one of my friends is getting married actually tomorrow and she had a bachelorette party and I had to go, you know, I went to that and everybody's getting fucked up and stuff. And here's me with my water and whatnot. But you know, and I there was a certain time where I was like, I gotta get out of here, like I gotta go home. And and that's just what I do now. I hang out until it's time to fucking go. And like the great thing about it though, since I tell people, is they understand. So when I look over and I'm like, it's, you know, everybody's talking in circles and you know, I can tell everybody's tying one on. So this this lady needs to go home and get in bed.
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean, that's where the fellowship of AA comes in, right? You said your regular friends, your normie friends, asked why you didn't reach out to them because there's not a goddamn thing they can do for you. Right, yeah, you need another drunk to help you through this.
Yeah,
a normal person doesn't understand it. They cannot
help you, and they don't understand. And absolutely, 100%. And I did have a couple friends say some fucked up shit. Like when I told them I was sober, like, I didn't know you were that bad, and I'm like, well, how the fuck would you know? Are you in my daily life? Do you see me every day? No. Like, I talk to you maybe once a month. Yeah. Like, how would you know?
And I worked really fucking hard.
Yes,
so you
and I worked real fucking hard to make sure you didn't know. So that was probably the hardest part for me. And then just kind of, how to navigate myself in those situations, or like tomorrow I know it's going to be an open bar at the reception, and my husband still drinks. He doesn't hurt people when he drinks, and I always say, like, nobody else's drinking is my business. The only drinking that I care about is my own. Like, I am not going to judge anyone. I'm not going to pull them aside and say, you really need to stop drinking. Like, that's not my fucking business.
and it doesn't help.
That is not me. If somebody comes to me and wants help, that's a different thing. But I want everybody to do whatever they want and have fun. But when if things get ugly, at the reception tomorrow, that I might have to be like, all right, husband, it's time. So, and that's okay.
Right.
And I'm not missing anything. That's another thing. Like, when you're at that point, when everybody's at that point and you leave, I promise, like, anyone who's listening to this who wants to stop drinking, you are not fucking missing anything.
And whoever is there is not going to miss you either.
They don't care. They do not give a shit. So, yeah. But
yeah, that's the thing that, and still to this day, Kathy and I went to my sister and I went to a charity event the other day, whatever that was, last Saturday. And it was just a YMCA event, the whole thing. And there was, free food and whatever. And I knew there was going to be open bar, which, again, give a fuck less about. But she had asked me when we were leaving, she's like, are we riding together or are you driving separate? I'm like, I'll drive separate. Now, I don't make a big deal out of it, but she knows me. She's like, oh, I figured.
Right.
So two things. I didn't think that she or anyone there was necessarily going to get out of control. But I don't go anywhere, like, ever. And this has been, and Mike and I have talked about that on here before. We don't go anywhere that we can't leave. I want to be able to leave. Either two things. Either somebody's getting loaded and I'm uncomfortable, or I just don't want to fucking be around these people anymore. Usually that's not the case because they're family events or things like that. And I love the people. I went to our cousin's wedding, Irish wedding, drinking. That was at 2 years sober. But I hung out for dinner until the band started playing, danced a little bit with family, and left. It was great.
Yep.
So that goes back to the whole thing of Mike being spiritually fit. We can go anywhere. Mike and I went to go to concerts and things like that. Went to a couple of shows. He's gone to, what did you say, like 100 since you've been sober? You think?
Yeah,
that's
probably
wonderful.
Close.
I've just been to 2, and one of them was this past Monday.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going this Friday to go see a band, and it's actually the radio show I did, the 40th anniversary celebration of the radio show. And I'm going by myself. I'm going to go in, I'm going to watch the band, I'm going to say hi to a few people, and then I'm going to go home.
Absolutely. What band is it?
It's called Night Demon.
I don't know them. I did download the Velveteers. I'm a rocker at heart. I'm a rocker. I listen to lots of different types of music, though. But
Well, if you like old heavy metal, like old Iron Maiden
Yes,
and
I
stuff like
do.
that, Night Demon's
I
really
listened
good.
to Guar the other day. I haven't listened to them in a while, so.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
they're fun.
Oh God. Anyways, yeah. So squirrel into music, but
No, that's
Yep.
all right, man. That's again, that's what we do and what we
yes,
talk about and how we
yes.
talk on here. So, but yeah, I mean, we're like an hour, I don't know, seven and a
Yeah.
half right now. What else? What else do you got? Because I mean, this is again your time. I think everything you talked about so far has been perfect, and I mean, it's funny how much you line up with. I don't know, with he and I. That's just kind of funny.
Well, I think so too, and that's one of the reasons I just love your show so much is because you're saying what I think. And you're making it okay, like validating that that's okay to think that way. But you
That's scary that you think it's
That
a
is a
thing.
little frightening.
We're validating how fucked up our thoughts are. But thank you,
but
though.
it's
Appreciate it.
but
Thank
it's
you. We
true because
appreciate
everybody has fucked up thoughts, and
Right.
Yes, we
that's
do.
every human.
Like
So
right. But like I say, man, our thoughts don't matter. It's what our actions are.
100%. You don't judge your feelings, you feel them, but how you behave when dealing with them, that's on you. So the only thing I wrote, I had an outline that I did not
Oh, here comes
that I
Mike.
did
Here
not
comes.
follow at
Jesus.
all. But
Good.
Yay.
but one
glad.
thing that just has kind of stuck out to me the last couple of weeks that I've really been feeling is I read somewhere that we're not responsible for like things that happened, like if people blame their childhood on their drinking patterns. And I don't want to say I had a horrible childhood, but there were some things that happened. Yeah, there was some fucked up shit. I mean, I know everybody kind of
Me
has
too.
that, but
Yep.
we are responsible. We're not responsible for that when we're under 18. But we are responsible. Like, that wasn't our fault that those things happened, but we're responsible on how we move forward in our life. And that's really, that resonated with me, just like with the drinking, because, I could go on and on about why I was so fucked up and why I did what I did and how it wasn't my fault. But when it comes down to it, you got to own the fact that this is your life and you're in charge of it and nobody else is.
Yep.
That's the only thing that you control, is getting yourself better and happier and spiritually fit, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And I've really just been feeling that a lot lately in my sobriety, and I just wanted to say that.
Right. That's what that whole little eighth step is for.
Yes.
Yes, we part of the eighth step, and people tend to forget about it, is part of the eighth step is forgiving the people that hurt us.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. If you read the 12 and 12, it's in there. Part of it. Yes, we make that list of the people that we hurt, but we also have to look at, okay, why did we hurt these people? And some of those people that we hurt them because they hurt us, and we've got to forgive them for hurting us, so we can
100%. And we have to forgive ourselves. I was also on my ninth step, just me, and I wrote myself like a letter, that I'm sorry that I, got stuck in this cycle and didn't, that I didn't think I was good enough or whatever. But I don't know. It's just important, and you guys are awesome.
A little hint, that ninth step never ends.
The ninth step never ends. I know it.
You're never going to finish that
and
one.
I liked, too, when you said, Mike, one time that you're like, it's just how you live now in the future. Like, you can't go back. You can't fix anything. You can't, doing some like grandiose gesture to somebody, like, Just
No.
don't ever do shit like that to them again. And like some
Right,
shit,
exactly.
I don't even remember. Like if I can't,
Oh, yeah.
I racked my brain when I was writing all those resentments and the step 8 and and then doing the 9. And I'm like, am I leaving anyone out? And it's like, I don't fucking know. So all I know is that I need
Right.
to not be evil moving forward. So I still make mistakes. I still, do things I probably shouldn't do, but I never intentionally try to hurt anyone. And, because we're human and we're not perfect, progress, not perfection. But, that's kind of my jam these days. So.
Right. And the cool thing about the program is it teaches us all that fucked up shit that we did before. Actually, all that rotten stuff that we did actually has value because we can use it to help somebody new, to show them that they're not all that fucked up and there's a way to stop doing it.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's cool. I'm glad you brought that up because I think that is important. So cool. So what else? Anything else that you've got on your mind, Gretchen? I'm sorry. G.
Yeah. I'm sure I
G.
could talk for hours about the stuff that goes through my head, but we can wrap her up.
But we all know what that is, so we don't need to
Totally,
do it.
yeah.
It's just going through our heads too.
If you guys think you want me to come back, I always would. So I'm putting you on the spot.
We appreciate that. And yes, it's like, hey,
right,
you
totally.
gonna call me? You gonna call
like
me?
never gonna
Like
hear
after
from
that-
Bill again. I'll be like,
it's like after that first date.
yes,
Call me.
exactly.
But no, seriously, we appreciate this, and I think this has been a lot of fun. And I mean, obviously, we appreciate everything that you said about us and all that, because it's humbling, to hear those sort of things, because we talked about this. We just did this to do it, and if it resonates with people now, I don't know. I can't explain how good that feels. It's wonderful.
It does
so we appreciate
resonate, and it's very important. So.
Well, that's cool.
Please,
I mean, it really
don't
is.
go
but,
away.
We don't. I don't
Not
think
today.
Not today. No plans to do it today. But so here's my typical question to wrap up the episode. Mike, anything else on your mind?
Not a goddamn thing.
All right. Well, G, you know how this is going to wrap up, so it's time for you and I to be quiet and let Mike wrap this up.
Okay.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I guess I got to do it well this time. Thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. We want to thank G for being our very entertaining and insightful guest tonight. And thank you for saying nice things about us, because we're not used to that.
You need to hear it more often.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we hear it too often. We're going to start letting it go to our heads, and that's not good either.
Right.
So again, thanks for listening to us. Again, everybody, be good to each other, be kind to each other, do something nice for somebody else this week. And as always, please, for the love of God, fuck off.
Thank you for adding in that. That's awesome.
I love it.
All right, man. Mike, I love you, brother, and obviously we'll talk soon.
You too.
G,
bye,
we appreciate
you guys.
it. Thank you, G.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.